It's college football now by Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. And coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at the top 6 transfer portal quarterbacks, rank them from 6 to 1, maybe give some thoughts on where they could end up. Take a look at their career stats, their recruiting profiles, and we'll go from there. And Chase, let's start with an Ohio State quarterback. Not Quinn Ewers, though. Jack Miller, who was a high recruit in his own right, has also entered the transfer portal. Very interested to see where the former 4-star recruit ends up. He's got plenty of eligibility remaining.
Plenty of eligibility, 4-star recruit in the 2020 class, and obviously the physical capabilities are there. And can you imagine being a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes? You lose Quinn Ewers, you lose Jack Miller. It's all good. You got CJ Stroud coming back, and he was in the race for the Heisman up until a couple weeks ago. That loss to Michigan. Yeah, Jack Miller's going to go elsewhere, and a team that's going to get him has a guy with a boatload of potential, a boatload of ability, really like his upside as a prospect. And that's why he was able to work himself into being that 4-star recruit. It's just such a competitive atmosphere at Ohio State. It's really tough to earn a role. And I think a lot of these guys, I admire the competitiveness that they have in between the ears, thinking that they can be the one to carry the momentum, carry the torch at Ohio State, and be that go-to quarterback. I think the transfer portal also at the same time is great for situations like this because I want to see what a guy like Jack Miller can do.
6'4", 210 pounds, strong arm, was the number 13 pro-style quarterback in that class in 2020. I think he'll certainly get an opportunity to play somewhere. Think mid-tier Power 5, like Iowa, I think would be a great fit. I think at Kansas State, maybe in Iowa State if Brock Purdy doesn't use his extra year of eligibility. I think a program like that could be on the lookout for a kid like Jack Miller. How about Miles Brennan at LSU? And I almost chuckled when I looked this up. He was in the 2017 recruiting class. Like, he's been in college for a long time, but he waited so long to play at LSU behind Joe Burrow after he transferred in. And he played pretty well early on in 2020. Injuries have really derailed his career at LSU, which is why he decided to enter the transfer portal. Couldn't get quite right. They decided to opt with Max Johnson this year at quarterback. So now he's decided to enter the portal. I believe has 2 years of eligibility remaining despite coming out in 2017. So Brennan, big strong-arm kid. He had a couple of big-time performances for LSU in 2020 before he got injured and they started playing some other quarterbacks. But again, another 4-star kid that actually has some experience, though, unlike a guy like Jack Miller. So if you want a guy who's got a big upside and some experience, Miles Brennan could be that guy for a program.
Yeah, and I wonder where LSU goes next under Brian Kelly because, honestly, I wasn't overly impressed by Max Johnson last year. Very up and down, very inconsistent. And that offense, we're so used to it being a high-octane offense at LSU. It really wasn't this past year. I thought they were terrible in the red zone, so Miles Brennan leaves. Is Mac Johnson going to be the future there? To TBD, but we'll see.
By the way, I don't know why I'm just thinking of this, and shout out your favorite team while I pose this thought. Should LSU just hire Joe Brady as the OC? I don't know why I'm just thinking
Brian
of this.
Kelly couldn't get a lot of people from his Notre Dame staff to come down to Baton Rouge.
Why not just bring back Joe Brady?
Bring back Joe Brady.
I think it's a good idea.
It worked.
Shout out your favorite team. We'll pin this comment on the video and rep your squad down in the comments section. How about Adrian Martinez? And look, you and I made fun of this guy a lot because he makes some mind-blowingly decisions and throws at times, but he offers a couple of things. Number one, incredibly experienced, a 4-year starter at Nebraska, and he's a dual-threat guy. He can throw the ball, albeit inconsistently, but he can really run the ball as well. 45 touchdowns, 30 picks as a passer. Look at the rushing stats, though. 2,300 yards and 35 rushing touchdowns playing in that offense for Scott Frost. In addition to experience and volume, toughness is one thing that Martinez brings. He's played a lot of football. He's played behind a lot of bad offensive lines in college. He's visited Kansas State. He's set to visit Cal as well. This is like the ultimate bridge guy. Like, if you think he's the difference in you winning a conference title or a national title, you're looking at the wrong quarterback. But if you're in between quarterbacks, right, like if you just had a senior quarterback, you don't know about the young guys on your roster, I think Martinez can help bridge that gap for a program.
I think so too, and kind of got to eat the crow a little bit because in their first game of the year, he couldn't complete a simple out route in an upset win for Illinois, and he looked awful. But as the season progressed, I thought he got better. And this is kind of the perfect example of you watch a guy's highlight tape and you're like, damn, he has a ton of ability. This guy is special as a dual threat quarterback. He can basically do everything on the field for a college quarterback. But then you turn on the low light tape and you ask yourself, what the heck was he thinking there? How did he not make that simple throw right down the seam when it was wide open?
Why did he throw that into triple coverage?
So many opportunities for Nebraska to win a handful of games this year, and they didn't because they choked down the stretch. A lot of missed field goals, but also a lot of bad decisions from Adrian Martinez. The ability is certainly there. I do think a quality coaching staff will be imperative for him, and if he goes to a staff that's well accomplished, and he can kind of get that confidence groomed a little bit, I think he could end up being a good player next year.
We're going to ask a simple question. Is Adrian Martinez good? Is he good? He's shown that he can be good, but like you said, he's kind of like an extreme poor man's Carson Wentz. He makes a throw, you're like, damn, that's an NFL throw.
Yeah.
Then he throws one into triple coverage on 1st and 10 when you don't need it. It's mind-blowing. G for good, B for bad. S for sometimes good? I don't know what to tell you. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What is a great deal are these hoodies that are 50% off at chatsports.com/CFB hoodie. The Cyber Monday deals have extended on for well beyond a week over at Fanatics, and they're not going to last forever, so take advantage during this holiday season. College football hoodies for 50% off, and not just the ones we're showing you, different styles as well. You can get some of those quarter zip pullovers as well, like this Clemson one. Chatsports.com/CFB hoodie. That link will be in the comments in the description. Check out some different jackets today, as it's certainly starting to get cold outside throughout the country. All right, top 3. Dillon Gabriel, Central Florida. This year wasn't playing as well, gets injured. But you want to talk about a guy who's put up kind of ridiculous numbers. He's been a little erratic throwing the football, but 70 touchdowns to 14 picks as a passer. Now, certainly QB-friendly offense with Josh Heupel before he took off to Tennessee, and that certainly continued a little bit this year under Gus Malzahn. But experienced player, left-handed kid, has won a lot of football games. And unlike Martinez, he's got multiple years remaining. And I think with the right coaching staff and the right scheme, he can play very well.
The numbers that he put up throughout his really illustrious college career at UCF, really impressive. Harrison broke him down, 70 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. You know, it tells me that Dillon Gabriel has a lot of talent and that his upside is pretty enormous when he visits a place like Ole Miss. Matt Corral is leaving. He's going to declare for the NFL draft. He basically announced that through social media, and Dillon Gabriel's visiting Ole Miss. If Lane Kiffin believes in you, I think that tells me and should tell everybody he's a pretty damn good quarterback. What's also interesting is that his time at UCF also overlapped with Jeff Lebby, who might take the offensive coordinator job at Oklahoma. We'll see about that. But if Lane Kiffin is showing you that he believes in you, he's like a quarterback whisperer, and he does a great job with that position. So I kind of like that momentum there for Dillon Gabriel.
Now we're putting Quinn Ewers at number 2 because his recruiting profile is one of the best of all time in the history of recruiting services. Now, unlike Gabriel, unlike Martinez, even Miles Brennan to an extent, he's not played. Like, Quinn Ewers has not played college football. He was the 4th-string quarterback at Ohio State, reclassified to enter the 2021 cycle and take advantage of NIL. He's now back in the transfer portal, but he was the number 1 overall player in the 2021 recruiting class, Chase. It seems like it's down to 3 schools, Texas, Texas Tech, and TCU. Looks like he wants to return home to Texas.
He's a Texas legend, and it looks as though he's going from Columbus back home to Texas. And I think wherever he goes, it's going to be fascinating. I just want to see if the kid is good. One of the most highly touted recruits in the history of high school football.
Is this Tate Martell
overall
2.0?
Recruit. Is it Tate Martell? Is it a great developmental story that he actually ends up exceeding and reaching those lofty expectations that were set forward for him? We're kind of hearing, according to some people in college football, that it's going to be Texas Tech, but honestly, who the hell knows?
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. The rumor mill has been wild over the last month, and a lot has been true and a lot has not when it comes to college football. Spencer Rattler, and look, you could go back and forth between him and Ewers, but I'm going to rank the kid who's played and actually played really well at times as the number one transfer quarterback because, look, was he frustrating to watch this year? Yes. That's why he got benched in favor of Caleb Williams. But the left side of the screen is 2020 season. Right side is 2021. Some of the numbers actually improved, especially completion percentage on the right side, but didn't have the volume of touchdowns there. Made some bad decisions at times as well. So Lincoln Riley opted to go to Caleb Williams in Norman. But Rattler's played some good ball. You can't dispute that. It's hard to follow Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts, three of the 12 best quarterbacks in the last decade in college football. Rattler didn't live up to that, but he still went 15-2 as a starter, and he put up some big numbers in the process. There are some leadership, some character concerns a little bit, but he's certainly a kid with a ton of talent and a lot of high-level experience.
And that's what I can't wrap my head around. How do you pair up with Lincoln Riley after the success that he had with Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield, and you don't end up being a quality player for the long haul? Of course, there were some really good moments for Spencer Rattler in Norman at Oklahoma. You talk about some of those character concerns. You talk about some of those leadership concerns. We were up there in Norman several weeks ago when Oklahoma played TCU. I thought the reaction from the fan base when Caleb Williams was announced for the first time as a starting quarterback was really telling, but also the reaction from the players on the sideline then and the reaction from the players on the sideline during the Red River rivalry when Caleb Williams replaced Spencer Rattler and was slinging dimes, making plays happen, and looked to be the next legit Oklahoma quarterback. We'll see if he actually ends up there for the long haul as well. I just hope for Spencer Rattler, this is a little bit of an ego check. I remember watching, I think, that Netflix series back in the day, and I'm like, Spencer Rattler's kind of a tool, and I don't know if the guys are going to rally around him. When you're a quarterback, you have to be the CEO of the program. You have to be the leader. You want guys to respond to you, and I didn't see enough of that from Spencer Rattler. Maybe because he's such a highly touted player, he ends up getting some of that the next place that he goes. Look, he's got the ability. I like his throwing motion. I like some of the touch. He's not the greatest athlete, so don't expect him to blow the doors off as a dual threat running quarterback. But as a pure thrower, he has that ability. And let's also not forget, according to some draft experts going into this year, he was the number one consensus prospect. Now, it didn't work out, but maybe he can recapture some of that magic.
And I do want to add one thing to here as well as we talk about, character, attitude, concerns. And I think there's certainly some of that there. I think he deserves a lot of credit for kind of staying quiet the rest of the season and being a pro. I mean, he could have left the program mid-season and started this transfer process sooner. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
He stayed available for Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley turned to him in the Baylor game.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but for Rattler to stay ready and to do that, I think that's a check mark in the right column for his character, and I think he deserves credit for that. Now, maybe he just did that because he felt like he didn't have a choice, but again, we've seen players leave programs mid-year after they get benched because, I'm just going to leave this program anyway, so I'm just going to check out. He didn't do that. He stayed, he put his head down and accepted being the backup, and he was ready when he was called upon in that Baylor game. So who is the best quarterback in the transfer portal right now? I think it's either Rattler or Quinn Ewers, but there's a lot of good ones. I think all six of the guys we mentioned could be starters in 2021. Let us know what you guys think, and hey, maybe we're leaving out a name. You can get your thoughts on that in the comments section.